you have a choice to make. You take the blue pill. You return to the world before you knew of the after credits cast, and we will vanish from your memory completely. You take the red pill, and you'll go to patreon.com/WissescastProductions. With your support, this show can live to fight on another day. That includes bonus episodes, early access, and exclusive content just for you. It's not a dream. It's very real. But only if you go to patreon.com/WissescastProductions. It's time to wake up. They're here for you. Enjoy the show.
Take the red. Take the blue. And I'll show you how to eat the rabbit hole.
In order to become the best podcast on the internet, you don't need fancy mics, corporate sponsors, or even a big dick. That's impossible. Instead, you'll need to realize the truth. The truth is, we are the After Credits Cast, the only film podcast to have bent all the spoons in your kitchen, and there's nothing you can do to stop us. I am your host and champion of the Iowa Film Critics Association, AJ Wissesmith, and I'm joined by Ryan Morfdoors.
All you AJ Wissesmiths look the same to me.
That's a little racist, but I'll take it.
I'd say that was Smithist, but that's fine.
That works too. I didn't write an intro song, but I'm sure the editor will have done that. Right, Red Pill, Blue Pill by Junkie XL. I think I might actually use that for the whole Matrix season. To be quite honest, that sounds like a fun little remix kind of thing. There, you heard it right there. He just put it in. It wasn't me. It was the editor. It's great. Good song. Great trace. Anyway, you can follow us on various platforms down below, including YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podcast Addict, iHeartRadio, Spotify. I forget to mention those every now and then, but we are on those as well. And then review us, rate us, give us 5 stars. Whatever it is that gets people to look at us more, do that thing. If you just share us, share us. That sounds like a lot of work, I know, but there's a button on the screen that you're looking at, probably. It's got like an arrow on it, maybe. You hit that button. It should be like a share button. You do that to your friends on your social media. They'll see us, and then they'll watch it. Maybe see it. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know how the internet works. But just do those things, and maybe more people will see us, and then we can do more stuff like this. More fun stuff like this. Not this ramble I'm doing, but the podcast itself. And Ryan, if they want to email us complaints about my rambling, where can they email at?
You can email us at you can stay in Wonderland, and I'll show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Excuse me. That's evacstation@gmail.com.
And that was the first line of my porno movie. Anyway. And we're back with more movies that are like video games, but not video games. God, this is a weird theme, and that title's not very catchy, but we'll have to change a little bit, especially because now we're going to take a different visit into a whole new digital world. That's right. We are finally going down said rabbit hole that Ryan was talking about with 1999's The Matrix. Written and directed by the Wachowski duo, this film would go on to earn a worldwide gross of $466 million, which is about 7.5 times what it cost.
Yes. Ooh.
It feels very weird to go from a movie that didn't make any money to a movie that made a lot of money. It really does. It's like Whiplash.
That's the mainstream for you, though.
Yep. In case you guys haven't seen it yet, go watch Scott Pilgrim. It's a movie that you should check out, and we talked about it, and it's good. And then come back and listen to our podcast about it, because it was also good. Anyway, we're talking about Matrix today. And there's a cast in Matrix, Ryan. Did you know there's people in the movie?
I did. I was aware.
Oh, well, then I'm sure you know who they are, including Robert Taylor, Paul Goddard, Anthony Ray Parker, Belinda McClory, Matt Doran, Julian Arahanga, pretty sure I pronounced that right, Marcus Chon, Joe Pantoliano, pretty sure I got that right, Gloria Foster, yep. Hugo Weaving, Carrie Ann Moss, Lawrence Fishburne, and, whoa, it's Keanu Reeves. Far out.
Jeez.
This movie, in case you didn't know, everybody, has won 42 awards out there. 42 awards of some kind. Not a lot higher than some movies we've seen. Not as high as others, but certainly 42 is pretty impressive. That includes 4 Oscars for Best Film Editing, Sound Effects, and Visual Effects, 2 Blockbuster Entertainment Awards for Favorite Actor and Favorite Supporting Actor in an Action or Sci-Fi Film, 2 Jupiter Awards for Best International and Best International Director, or Best International Film and International Director, 2 BAFTA Awards for Best Sound and Best Visuals, and then finally 2 Saturn Awards for Best Sci-Fi Film and Best Director.
Every single one of them well earned.
This is the part of the show where I turn over to you, Ryan, for some fun facts. And there's a spot down there where I did a little addendum, so if you want to read that part, you can. You don't have to, but it's related to the first one, so up to you.
Sure, absolutely. Well, first off, legendary Hong Kong stunt coordinator Wo Pin Yuan? No, I think it's Yuan Wu Ping. Yes, family name first. Yuan Wu Ping initially refused to work on the film. Even after receiving the script, which he liked, he hoped that by asking for an exorbitant fee, it would turn off the Wachowskis. It didn't. Next, he formulated what he considered to be an impossible request. Sounds like John Wick. He said that he would only agree to do it if he had complete control of the fights, and that he trained the actors for 4 months before they shot. The Wachowskis absolutely complied with his request. Additionally, when Tank is uploading the martial arts training to Neo, there is a shot on the computer screen as it scrolls through various martial arts styles. The graphics have a computer image of a person in the title of the style below. The 5th one on the screen is entitled Drunken Boxing. Yuan Wu Ping, the fight choreographer for this movie, was the director and fight choreographer for Jackie Chan's early hit, Drunken Master, in 1978, in which Chan's character masters the style of Zui Chuan, or drunken boxing. So, a lovely little add-on.
Absolutely.
Next up, all the scenes that take place within the Matrix have a green tint, as if you're watching them through a computer monitor, while the scenes in the real world have a blue tint. Blue was also used at a maximum in the Matrix scenes.
You mean minimum?
Since the director's minimum, excuse me. I saw maximum and then Matrix, and then my mind flew off the handle. Still a little deja vu here. Blue was also used at a minimum in the Matrix scenes, since the directors thought blue was more of a real-world color, despite, ironically, blue being the least often occurring color in nature. The fight scene between Morpheus and Neo, which is neither in the real world nor in the Matrix, is tinted yellow as an in-between.
Gotta love color theory in films, especially when they use it in interesting ways like this.
It's so smart, man, and it's such a subtle way to draw big distinctions from what you're seeing. Well, last but not least, the name of Morpheus' ship, the Nebuchadnezzar, is a biblical reference to King Nebuchadnezzar II of Babylon, from the biblical book of Daniel. King Nebuchadnezzar was famous for his conquests of Israel in biblical times, specifically Judah and Jerusalem. He also built the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, one of the lost 7 wonders of the ancient world, for his wife. He has a dream he can't interpret, but keeps searching for the answer, in Daniel 2, 1-49. Furthermore, in Greek mythology, Morpheus is the god of dreams. Yes, just everything about this.
A lot of deep stuff here, huh? Alright, time for some initial thoughts. So, when I first saw this as a youth, I'm gonna say like preteen, early teen, I'm not exactly sure when. I'll admit I didn't fully get it. I was a wee child, and I got the core concept, the Matrix world itself, but that I more or less understood. But I didn't really fully grasp, the inner workings of the Matrix, like how they got powers and why the agents were such a big deal. But as I got older, and as I've seen more sci-fi, this certainly references and borrows elements of. I can definitely say I appreciate what the work is being done here, and I would also preface saying, if you are just getting into sci-fi for the first time, I would probably not start with The Matrix, because certainly it doesn't lend itself well to people who are relatively new to the genre. Try a few other things first, and then come to this, because this is definitely complex for someone who is a baby to sci-fi, for sure.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Okay.
Not any hate, just like I said, if you have got no grasp of how sci-fi works or the depths that sci-fi goes, this might be a little more advanced than Baby's First Sci-Fi.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, similar to you, I absolutely did not fully grasp all of the concepts involved when I originally saw it at the wee age of 9, but it was absolutely my favorite movie when I was young. I pretty much had the entire movie memorized, and it was just utterly captivating for me. And it only got more captivating as I grew up, because as I started to understand the concepts involved, I was really starting to see the brilliance and the genius behind it. I can say this movie and subsequent sequels actually had a big part in shaping how I think about the world and what I think about, like, broader concepts like free will and the power of choice and things like that. This property, this title, actually helped shape Ryan into the person he is today, and it is by far one of my favorite movies, period.
Very cool, very cool. So that means I think we've hit up most of everyone's favorites throughout the series then, because we know we've done mine, we've done yours, we did Chaz's. I think we did Derek's. I'm trying to think of anyone else whose favorites we've discussed that we've hit up, but I think we're hitting almost all of them, like greatest hits almost.
Yeah.
Let's see if I missed anyone. I'll have to double check on that. But anyway, I do have a synopsis here for you, Ryan. I can't promise you it's good. I can't promise you it's as good as the movie, but I can promise you it is a synopsis.
I'm sure I'm going to get some laughs out of it, so let's hear it.
Hope so. Tom, a computer hacker by the alias of Neo, is woken up by one of those clippy alerts on his computer, telling him shit's about to get real, and to go follow the White Rabbit. Like any sane person, Tom takes this literally and follows a girl with a White Rabbit tattoo to a bar. Here he meets his future love interest Trinity, who is there to tell him shit's about to get real and to go and to expect some exposition soon. Tom returns to his dreary office job at Venmo. He is FedEx
You son of a bitch!
He is FedEx the phone that calls him immediately to tell him that shit's about to get real. And wait, am I stuck in a loop? Eventually,
oh my god!
Eventually, Neo is offered a drug of choice to escape this reality or to maintain his reality. While 9 out of 10 shrinks will tell you to choose the latter, Neo instead takes the first and is swallowed up by a mirror and wakes up in the not too distant future, where Mr. Burns truly defeated the sun once and for all. Unfortunately, this gave rise to the machines, who use humans as batteries in a way that makes no biological sense whatsoever. But shut up, to suspend your disbelief, damn it. Anyway, Neo is then shoved hundreds of martial arts training into his brain via downloading, and I wish I could do that with my video editing, photoshopping, and game design stuff. Anyway, he is thrown into the field, and things go kind of haywire when a guy named Cypher betrays everybody. I don't know who chose the names here, but you guys should have probably seen that one coming. So, Neo and Trinity and whoever else is still alive scrap together to save Morpheus from the agents of the Matrix. During their battle, Neo unlocks his Ultra Instinct form and manages to defeat Agent Red Skull, but certainly takes a beating getting to that point. The film ends with everyone having restored hope that they've discovered the new avatar, Neo, and with his code-bending skills are great, he's a long way to go before he can save anyone, but Morpheus believes he can save the world.
Oh my god, I love it. I absolutely adore it.
I love it when I can just sneak in a reference to that anywhere. It's great.
Oh god, I had to move away from the mic. I was like, oh god, that's too real.
So, Ryan, before we get to any questions, I want to preface this by saying, we did do a Matrix 2 podcast. We did that in 2018. For those who are watching this on the YouTube, we will re-upload that around the same time this goes up. So, expect that either later this week or having already come out. I don't know when this is coming out 100% yet, but expect it soon. But yes.
God, that was eons ago.
It was. So for those who may or may not remember, there may be some questions that we ask here that may be repeats of what we did then. Because A, that was years ago, and B, I looked at the script and I don't remember actually having specific questions on there. So I don't know what we talked about 100% without going back and listening to the whole thing. So, if we repeat stuff, I apologize. If you are listening to this for the first time and didn't hear that at all, great. Good. Just keep listening. It's fine. Nothing has changed. Ryan, you said this is your favorite movie, so let's dive into that before we get to anything else.
Yes, yeah. This is I'm not sure if I'd list it as my boom favorite movie, but it's absolutely top 3. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And so, what draws you into it the most? Like, what makes you think that this is definitely like the go-to movie to watch?
I feel like, I really enjoy movies that tackle these deeper concepts. Personally, I like the concepts addressed in The Matrix Reloaded a little bit more, but that's primarily because it goes into the idea of how do you have free will versus predestination, predestination. Yes, just like the idea of how can the future be set if people actually have free will, and kind of that.
Yeah, no, you're right.
That's that was really interesting to me growing up, specifically because I am a preacher's kid, and I grew up very religious. And as I was getting older, around the age when The Matrix 2 was released, it was around that time that I was trying to figure out my own ideas and how to reconcile the religion that I've grown up with the world as I know it, and that movie really kind of helped ground me into like what I honestly think about it. But The Matrix introduced these concepts, and it really goes into the idea of corporations kind of taking over the globe, and people just kind of plugging themselves into these mindless entities that exist for the sole purpose of just perpetuating themselves, and people losing their lives and just essentially sleepwalking through life, just plugging into what society deems is appropriate and like the corporate lifestyle. It really kind of dismantles that in a very intelligent way, and it puts it around the shell of this like sci-fi kung fu fucking shoot 'em up with ridiculous characters that also talk about deep philosophical things. It's all my shit. All of it. All of the things that I love. It's just all in one movie here.
Gotcha. So I know we both said at the top that both of us struggled when we first saw this, like as wee lads, to grasp the full concept of the Matrix, like all the aspects of it. Which, yeah, I would say there are plenty of people who were kids that didn't get it, and there are people who are definitely older when it came out that didn't get it. So I guess my question is, what do you feel is the most difficult thing to understand about this film, and what holds people back from actually getting it?
What holds people back from getting it? I think there is a lot that is going on in this movie that if you miss it, it's gonna throw a lot of things out of whack. I mean, like, I've seen this movie countless times, but I haven't seen it in a couple of years, so it was like revisiting an old friend. But I was today years old when I realized that the inciting incident for the entire fucking movie is, like, it starts in the first 2 seconds of the movie. It's Trinity calling Cypher to relieve him. The fact that happens, and Cypher actually allows the trace on the call, is what leads the agents to Trinity. It's what lets them believe Cypher's information about Neo. It's what leads them to Neo. It's it's what causes Morpheus and his crew to have to get to Neo before he's fully vetted. Like, literally, the first 5 seconds of the movie starts the entire plot. And if you miss that, you're gonna be a bit lost, and it's gonna be a bit hard to catch on to a couple of things. So I'd say the biggest thing keeping people back from it is the fact that there is so much plot, and you have to really pay attention to what's going on, like, at any given point of the movie.
Yeah, there's definitely a dense plot happening here. I think the other thing to consider, too, I guess might be twofold. Number one being, when this first came out, the technological concepts that it does dive into, and I think they even dumb it down from the original concept of the script to what actually got to film. I think in the original concept they wanted to say like the humans were being used as like an internet highway or something like that. Like they were forming a network with the people they had harvested. But that didn't quite translate to the executives, so they switched it from that to just being living batteries, which still feels a bit weird, but ignoring that. I think they had some very advanced technobabble, so to speak, which all sci-fi has. But this definitely had a lot where if you are not a technical person in any capacity, you're going to be like, eh? Because I know my mom does not get these movies at all. My dad does a bit, and like I said, it took me a while to get it because when I was a kid, the most complicated piece of technology I had was a Game Boy. Yeah, so, a lot of this is like, what am I looking at here? Not to mention you have all these... Not to mention the fact there's also multiple villains, so to speak, to keep track of. You have Cypher, you have the agents, you have the robot AI monster things that are chasing the ship around. And if you're young enough, or if you're not paying attention, like you said with the plot, you're going to wonder, wait, who's what now? What's going on? So it's like, there's a lot happening, and it's complex unless you understand the core basic stuff of it. So, yeah, I could definitely see why as kids we didn't get it, and I can see why older folks tend to struggle with it. But if you're in the right age demographic, or if you aged up enough to catch on to it, you're going to get it. You'll catch on quick after a good minute, for sure.
Also, a big thing that I do not want to call it a flaw, because it's really not, but it could be something that kind of bars people from like really getting into the deeper things. But the visual strives that this movie makes, it like how well designed it is and how well put together it is. It's easy on your first watch to just get caught in that. And to only really look for, like, the big parts of the plot. And aside from that, just thinking, holy shit, Keanu Reeves actually looks good doing martial arts. Or, holy hell, these are really great shots of like, this kind of corporate downtown city that looks impressive but also really depressing at the same time. Or the fucking Sentinels look fucking bonkers and da-da-da-da-da, and they're all wearing leather. It's really easy to get caught in the really cool surface level of the movie, because this movie does a lot of great things. But if you get caught up in that, you're gonna miss the deeper stuff that the movie's also talking about.
Yeah, so, if anyone out there hasn't seen it, or if you have seen it and are lost on it, give it a look, take your time with it. If you can't pay attention to it, stop when you need to stop, and just come back to it when you can. Just do that until you can get through it all. Just give the movie time to breathe, is all we're saying. And make sure you get attention, because that'll let you actually fully get into some of the weird shit we're going to probably get into here. That being said, Ryan, why and how do you identify with Neo's character?
Oh man, oh boy, that was so deep. Yes. So Neo behaves as a typical corporate drone that's really it feels like they're sleepwalking through life, because you go into work. You shut down so much of what makes you, you, and you just try to be as productive as possible so that way you can receive money in order to go home, sleep, pay for a place to have a roof over your head, wake up, and do the exact same thing. So, like, the commentary on the corporate lifestyle and just, like, every, like worker ants just mindlessly plugging away in the hopes for food and just the right to live is staggering. It's really, really good. I absolutely, like, as somebody who works in customer service, no less, like, it was very, very, very real. Just opening up a computer to do a job that I hate, to pay for an apartment, to pay for things that I need, and not having enough energy to really do anything else, because that's the only way we know how to live. Like, it's massive. Like, you can critique the idea of the machines turning human beings into batteries, but honestly, that's just like the most blatant metaphor for our current work culture that you can. They just made it really, really sci-fi and put a bunch of body horror into it at the same time. But that's really it. Everybody is asleep in these pods, and the energy from them goes to mindless machines that think of nothing but propagating themselves. That is corporate culture. That's it. That's the whole thing.
I'm so glad I no longer work for a corporation.
Man, I'm trying. I'm trying, man. Progress. Next year, baby. Next year.
Man, I keep telling you, if you just get in the trades, you'll have it made.
Yeah, but my girlfriend wants to leave, so I'm gonna learn how to be a teacher real fast.
I'm just saying, bring your trades with you. Everyone needs heating and cooling. Everyone needs electricity. Everyone needs plumbing.
I hear you.
But I agree with you, especially having worked in various office jobs like that before. You basically are just, sleepwalking. You have no, like, when I worked at my data entry job prior to where I'm at now, I'd go in, I'd leave, and the in-between might as well not have existed. It might as well not have happened. Like, none of it made sense. It was all a blur. I put on podcasts to get by through the time, but, like, literally none of it was, to me, real time. It was just time that didn't exist because I couldn't use it for anything I wanted to use it for. It wasn't used for anything truly meaningful or productive because the job was in itself a waste of space job. And I look back on the 2.5, almost 3 years I was there, and I am just glad that it's over. Just done. Just, ugh. Anyway, so, yeah, I can relate to Neo on that front for sure, and definitely believe that there is something more out there for all of us who are stuck in dead-end, shitty jobs like that.
Yeah. Also, just kind of a connection to that, but there are a lot of people who criticize Keanu Reeves' rendition of Neo in this movie. And while I can see some of the criticism in the later movies, I can see some of that holding weight. I really think here, his portrayal of Neo's character is really, really... It is very, what's the word?
Apt?
Yeah, apt, but, intentional. Like, it is very intentional. He plays it like that because Neo, for all intents and purposes, at that point, is Thomas Anderson, who has been sleepwalking through life and has had a vague discomfort with life going up to it, but has still had to go with the flow because there was literally no other alternatives up until that point. So he plays that very, very well. And after he's released and he joins up with Morpheus and his crew in the real world, he definitely plays somebody who's just kind of coming to terms with all of these massive world-shattering truths that have completely turned his life upside down and inside out. So I absolutely love what Keanu Reeves did with this character.
Speaking of that, So I know originally they had penned. It was Will Smith. They originally had.
It was Will Smith.
Yeah. How different is this movie with Will Smith? I guarantee you, 100% different.
Oh yeah, 1,000% different, dude. Like, absolutely. Like, I love Will Smith. I absolutely love Will Smith. I think he's a fantastic actor. And I always enjoy seeing him on the screen. That being said, he would not have been a fit for this. Because every time Will Smith is in a movie, it is Will Smith.
Yep.
It is Will Smith playing a role. And I absolutely love that. Like, there have been a couple of movies that I've seen of his where he really, really embodies a different character. My go-to of thinking of that is Ali.
I was gonna say Pursuit of Happiness for me.
Yeah, I still haven't seen Pursuit of Happiness. I'm scared that it's going to break my heart. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, I'll just die.
But you'll love it.
But yeah, if you've never seen Ali, I 100% recommend it, because it's so fucking good. He really does that role justice.
Is that a reference to Muhammad Ali, I assume? Okay.
Yes, yes. It's Muhammad Ali biopic. I think it's done by Michael Mann. I might be mistaken on that, but I'm pretty sure it's Michael Mann that does that, and it's so good.
You know, I give crap to Tom Cruise for constantly playing himself in a different role, but I feel like, yeah, Will Smith can get that same kind of level of criticism, but I think he's just a little more enjoyable to watch, too.
I mean, I also have that same critique for Denzel, but Denzel is still one of the greatest actors of our time. Like, I'm never gonna say that's bad, but when I go to see a movie with Denzel Washington, I am seeing Denzel Washington. Like, that's like his force of personality is just too big to be contained by the role, and I feel like that would have kind of shot this movie in the foot.
Well, yeah,
so
because
I'm glad they got a more subtle actor to do this.
Well, yeah, because you want Neo, before he fully awakens, to feel like an everyman, because it's more or less what he is. He's just a guy pulled out of the water, and you're trying to help him get acclimated to it, so he's not going to be perfect. He's not going to be great. He's not going to be charismatic and charming. He's still trying to figure his shit out. So anything else would just be
absolutely
weird. I saw they also had on the short list, I don't remember the other name, but there's two names, and one of them was Val Kilmer. I'm thinking to myself, is he too old for this at this point?
1999? I
don't remember.
No, not really.
Okay, I couldn't remember what his age was at 1999. I don't know. He might have been like on the precipice of like just starting to fade out.
Yeah, because I think like around that time, I'm also like he was in Heat with Robert De Niro and Al Pacino, and I think that was a couple of years before this one. So, I mean, I don't know how good he would have looked doing martial arts. I mean, that's another huge thing that I think they really lucked out on, because Keanu Reeves actually took to martial arts really, really well. Yeah. And he doesn't look like a mannequin. Yeah,
there's a lot of actors who I think they could have gotten, but with that requirement of the 4 months of training, there's not a lot of actors who would want to do that. I'd be curious who they'd get to do it now if the Matrix was made today, like who that shortlisted actors would be. But that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
How is I wrote that wrong. How is Morpheus like an Obi-Wan figure, and how is he different?
Well, I mean, he's definitely the mentor, the wise, like, all-knowing, person who takes up the protagonist, like, picks them up and shows them the deeper meanings behind the world, and what have you. I mean, a big difference is that, when the protagonist goes to save this mentor, he actually survives. That's so fucked, and I absolutely love Star Wars. But yeah, that's a big difference.
Ryan, too soon.
It was fucking 50 years ago, dog. What do you mean too soon? Oh God. But I think also, I mean, honestly, the big idea that the final, or at least the biggest realization doesn't actually come from Morpheus, but it actually comes from him having to save Morpheus, I think is a big difference. And it's really nice because it becomes a journey of self-discovery. Like, you can only get people to tell you what to do and have that work so well. But when he meets the Oracle and she tells him just enough to put him on the path, so that way when he goes down it, it's almost as if he's discovering what's real and who he actually is, rather than it just being Morpheus's teachings or the teachings of the Oracle or whatever. It's him actually going through it and making the decision in himself that ultimately gets him to Messiah status.
Gotcha. Now, I may have asked this question in the previous Matrix we did, but again, years ago. So, if I did, bear with me, everybody. What is the real role of the Oracle? Like, what is their purpose?
Okay, are we talking about in just this movie or in the series overall? Because those are two different answers.
I guess, so I don't remember the third one at all. I assume the Oracle does show up in the third one too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's focus our attention on the first two, because obviously we're not going to go back and re-record the second one, so this could be like a catch-up on that one, but also like more focus on this one too, I suppose.
Well, okay, because the big twist is the big twist of the Oracle happens in the second movie. Ultimately, it is revealed that the concept of the One and the story of this savior that gives people hope and like will ultimately destroy the Matrix is just another form of control, because the small percentage of humans that wouldn't accept the programming of the Matrix in any regard had to be accounted for. So they created the role of the One to essentially give that small subset of people a focus, and to ultimately keep them controlled and predictable. It's the Oracle that actually comes up with that solution. So that's kind of a big betrayal.
Man.
That's kind of a big betrayal, because she's kind of the reason why the Matrix actually works. Like, she's the one that actually thinks that up.
So hypothetical then, I have to ask. So, no jokes aside, Neo is kind of your deific, like, Superman, Jesus level character, so to speak, right?
Like Neo is actually Jesus Christ in this movie, yeah.
So, let me ask you this then. What if the entire concept of religious figures like Jesus were part of the Matrix as well? Like, what if Jesus was, quote-unquote, the One from his, quote-unquote, story, and so when he existed, he was part of the Matrix, or whatever, and had a similar trajectory to Neo, and he was the one of the chosen ones from back then, like they mentioned in the second one, having that happen multiple times over and over. What if that had happened and that was Jesus' story? What if that was Muhammad's story? What if that was all these other like various like prophetic figures? All of them were chosen ones, and that's just how it is.
I mean, are you asking what if that was the way it is for the mythology of the Matrix, or what if that's the way it is for real life?
Is there a difference?
I mean, I think ultimately it gets down to how religion can be used as a means to control the masses.
That's more what I was getting at, yeah.
And that is a big proponent of the Matrix Reloaded. That's a big story point when they realize that, like, yeah, literally the only lasting religion in the real world which is actually provable by empirical evidence. Like, Neo literally is the one, can literally bend the Matrix at will in ridiculous ways, and can do crazy, impossible stuff. Like, people can see that. Even that is just a method of control by people in power. So,
well, digging into that rabbit hole more, like, I have researched this stuff, and I've discussed it. I've read theories, and I've read various papers about it. Like, back in the day, the church and the state, they were buddy-buddy. They were linked arms and everything. Like, you go back to Holy Roman Empire, like, you couldn't walk 5 feet away from a government building without there also being, like, a church thing attached to it, basically.
Yeah, because church and state are so separated nowadays.
I mean, they're more subtle about it. But the point is, though...
Sure!
the point is, though, that they were, like, literally, like, the king was considered, like, appointed by God. And if you go back far enough... Well, actually, you don't have to go back that far. All the people who had the power and the wealth could read or write. And generally, they paid other people to write what they wanted them to write. And knowing how that stuff works, I've always had a tough time believing... So, growing up, you're taught the Bible is like, Word of God and all that stuff. But then as I got older, and it wasn't too much older, I questioned that whole logic, because to me it's like, well, if God's all powerful, he wouldn't write a book. The book's clearly written by people. But then as I get older and read about history and stuff, you realize only certain people were allowed to read and write. Only certain people could dictate what's in that book. And only certain people would benefit from that. And when you bring up the whole idea of, religion being control, and who was in charge of writing these books, like, oh, so basically this film's just saying rich people and people in power and people in charge of governments are saying, hey, they're controlling you through the religions that you are, using and stuff. And, to me, that's a very interesting discussion to have, and I like that this isn't fully backed up by history, but there's enough evidence here and there to suggest that, yes, this is probably what happened.
Yeah, definitely. But getting back to the actual, to the question, though.
Yes.
No. Cause not to make it seem like you're rambling, because you're actually hitting on, like, kind of the dual... You're really hitting on the dual nature of the Oracle, because that, like, the negatives are really what's focused on in the second movie. But the positives are actually really highlighted in the first, because, and this is a direct correlation with religion, at least in my experience, while the concept of organized religion can be used as a method to control the masses, religion on a personal level is a very good way to kind of gain some insight into yourself, or to at least start to correct your own behavior. I think the greatest teachers and religious leaders use religion as a way of getting people to become more self-aware and to become more empathetic to other people. The Oracle's whole mission in this movie is not to tell Neo exactly what to do word for word, but to just get him looking in the right direction. Like, she tells him exactly what he needs in order to make his own decisions and to ultimately become who he's meant to be. And so I think there's good and bad with the Oracle. I think there's good and bad with religion. And I think that parallel is a very, very clear one that's done in this series.
I like that train of thought. It's definitely refreshing to hear, for sure.
Yeah. You see, when I tell you, this changed how I thought about a lot of really important stuff.
Well,
this is what I mean.
And I wish I had been old enough to appreciate when it came out to fully understand it, but I also wish that I had known someone who was willing to talk to me on this level back then to fully dive into and appreciate what it is. Granted, as a wee lad, I probably wouldn't have been able to fully understand it, even with the conversation, but I'm glad we're visiting it now because it does make me look at this in a new way that I wasn't before.
Yeah, I mean, the deeper introspection and kind of analysis of these movies from me came when I was in college. As a kid, there was no way. It was just the dialogue is so cool, and look at the fucking martial arts, and oh my god, all the bullets and all the guns, and so great, so cool.
So I didn't return this in college because I was too busy with anime.
That's fair. But I had taken a couple of religion classes in college, and it really got me thinking about it. And then I watched The Matrix again, and I was just like, "Oh shit, that's what it's talking about. Oh god, oh man, what does that mean?" And then, yeah.
Ryan, would you have taken the blue pill or the red pill, and why?
Ooh. That's hard, man. I think as I get older, I would be leaning to... I think as I got older, I would lean towards the red pill. Because when I was younger, the biggest thing that I wanted in life was stability. And just, being able to kind of get to a place where I could take care of the majority of my expenses and not have to struggle, not have to worry where my next meal was coming from. I would pray for a job that I was competent at. It wasn't stupidly hard. It paid well. I could do the job and go home. And I got that. And it was only after years of doing that I realized that it was not satisfying enough. So I think younger Ryan would have taken the blue pill. I think current Ryan would definitely lean red pill.
So I think I'm the opposite, where when I'm younger, I would have wanted the red pill because I wanted more out of life. I wanted more things out of life. I wanted to experience more things. And it's not so much that I didn't want stability, but I had stability enough where I'm like, I want to shake the foundation. I want to do something different here. As I'm getting older, as I'm getting a house and a family and all that stuff settled, it's like now I that's not that I want stability, but now I need to just kind of maintain it because if I don't, shit just falls apart. So it's one of those things where as I'm getting older, it's like, as much fun as it would be to go on adventures, I'm satisfied with where I'm at right now. I think at the age I'm at now still, I would probably lean red pill, but as I'm getting older, I'm like, I appreciate the blue pill for what it is. I wouldn't shove it out the room just yet, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, Allegra jokes that I was born an old man, and to be fair, I kind of was. I think I'm a very old soul. But the concept of stability for me is very important. It is still important. But I had to get it to realize that it was not the most important thing. Absolutely, as you get more responsibilities and as you build a life with somebody and you're looking to grow a family, stability becomes more and more and more important because you have other people depending on you. I absolutely get that. But as I was getting older, I realized that I could kind of reverse course a bit and try to find ways to get more fulfillment out of life before I had all of those responsibilities forcing me towards stability. So, I mean, my earlier plan was to save up for a down payment on a condo and to just get into a mortgage, have a place that I actually owned, and just build a life and work towards a family. And I was coming to realize that if I'm stuck in a 30-year mortgage doing a job that I absolutely hate, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. So I need to figure out a way to do that. I'm going to die very unhappily. I'm going to die internally. Long before my body stops breathing, inside I will be dead. And that won't be fun.
Fair. I came to that realization 2 years ago, so I know what you're talking about. Let's skip ahead a little bit because we are running a little long here.
This is the movie. I told you I was gonna have enough to say.
That's not so much that we also ran on the first podcast and on the pre-roll, so it's a later night than expected for sure.
Yeah.
Ryan, what is truth? Why must truth be painful? And does the truth really set us free? And how does the film wrestle with these concepts of truth and freedom?
Yeah, we're running a little bit long, so let me skip ahead. What is truth, Ryan? Jesus Christ! Fuck. Who can tell you what truth is? I mean, I think truth is a very personal concept for each of us. And I think there are things that are physical realities that are truths, at least as far as we can understand them currently, with the limits of our own understanding. There are physical things that we cannot deny are true. But then again, there are deeper, more nebulous things that are essentially going to present differently to everybody. For one person, the concept of religion, Christianity, their belief in God and Jesus Christ is absolutely the truth. For others, that's not the case. For myself personally, there have been too many things in my life that have coincided with the larger ideals of the Christian faith, that for me, it is a personal truth. I can't say it's true for everybody, but it is true for me. And I think there are a lot of important truths that are going to be that way for every single person. So I think finding truth is more about being self-aware and being aware of the world around you and how you react to it, how it reacts to you, and kind of compiling those things that happen to you into your own personal ideals of how the world works. I think that is what's true.
Gotcha.
I guess. I also could just be talking out of my ass. Who knows? It might be true.
I mean, we're diving into a philosophical concept here, so obviously it's not black and white. Mostly. I've always looked at truth as, like, it's an objective fact. Like, you have a means to prove it. Whether it's evidence, whether it's you know, I guess I do look at truth as a black and white subject, which is ironic now that I say it after what I said earlier. But no, I mean, I look at truth and there's proof, there's fact to it. There, you can back it up with some level of evidence, and I get that when you start expanding that scope to the realm of, like, faith and the realm of religion and whatnot, that becomes harder to do. But I don't know. I would say that there is a modicum of evidence to anything that's true, basically. And anything that does not have evidence does not mean it's not true. It just means that it has yet to be proven true. I guess is the best way to put that.
Okay, that's fair.
Because I feel like, given enough time, you can prove anything's true within reason. like let's be real here. You cannot prove that the Earth is flat. That'll never happen in a billion years. But to say that to prove the truth of whether or not so and so killed somebody, all it is time. You may not have the evidence today, but eventually you can find evidence as to saying who actually did it. Then there's your truth right there. And that's just a very small scope, microcosm example of what can how my brain works.
Yeah. I agree. I believe there are physical, objective truths that can be proven with the means that we have available today, and eventual physical truths that will be proven later on in time when we have the means to do so. But I guess what I was talking about were those more nebulous ideas that can personally feel very, very true, but you wouldn't be able to empirically prove it to other people because the evidence is what's happened in your life, you know?
Yeah.
Or at least that's how religious truth boils down to me personally, because I have to, like, my proof that God exists are the things that have happened to my life. I can't prove that to you, but for me, it is true, and that's how I operate, and that's also why I don't evangelize because I can tell you how it's helped my life, but I can't sit here and prove to you that God is real. I really can't do that.
No, and for the record, I appreciate that because I know plenty of people who have tried to evangelize, and I'm sitting here like, no, dog, this ain't me. And I guess I borrow. This is not the subject we're talking about, but this is somehow how we got here. But I borrow.
It's absolutely part and parcel with the Matrix, so we're not off topic, really.
Fair. But I borrow a line of philosophy from one pundit that I've listened to way back when, and his logic was, and I think there's some logic to it. Believing in a singular Christian monotheistic religion, so to speak, opens up a lot of various plot holes and explaining how the world works. Because, bad things happen to good people, good things happen to bad people, and wars, famine, all this stuff. You're like, how does all this get allowed? But if you look at it from the perspective of multiple gods, the Egyptian gods, Roman gods, Norse gods, all that stuff, and how they always bickered and fought, and how they're supposed to be representations of us or exaggerated versions of us just with these great powers, it starts to make a lot more sense. Like, why do bad things happen? Oh, because these two gods are doing dumb shit over there. Why is a war happening? Well, this god wants to fight that god, so he's making all of his people do that, so on and so forth. And it was a very glib, comical way of doing it, but I kind of also look at it like, there's some logic to that, and I get that that's how old religions function, but maybe there's also some inherent truth behind those old mythologies, so to speak.
Maybe.
I mean, come on, let's be real here. Some places get hit by bad storms. Poseidon's pissed off at somebody.
God, I wish I could logically explain away all of the terrible things that happen everywhere.
But it's really hard to do.
But it's impossible to do. Honestly, it's kind of impossible to do. I can sit here and tell you that the bad things that have happened in my life have personally made me a better person. That's not an excuse for them to have happened, and it's not me saying, "Oh, God put this in my life to shape me," or that or what have you. I can only tell you that it helps me to look at it that way, and it's quite possible that it's just who I am as a person that's able to take that view of it. In terms, because there are absolutely people who have gone through tragedies, and tragedies that just are so senseless that there's no lesson or change to be gained from it. But in my personal life, these things have all made me into a better person, so it helps me to look at it that way.
Well, and that's what it comes down to, is personal stuff. Like, between you and me, I look back on my life, and yeah, there have been struggles, but I don't think there's been any major significant hardships I can look back on and think to myself, well, that shaped me as a person. Like, there are definitely moments, like, there was the one time I, lost my job and all that stuff and had to kind of figure out what I was doing in it real quick. But when it came to situations like that, and I'm not trying to dismiss anyone's religious faith or anyone's way of thinking, I didn't look at that as, okay, God, what do I do here? To me, it was me picking myself up and trying to puzzle out what my next move was going to be. And some people will look at that situation and think, oh, well, God gave you this direction, and others will be the opposite, and I'll be like, I don't care what y'all think. For me personally, it was, I saw the problem, I devised solutions, I went for the one that made the most sense to me, that was presented at the time, and that's just kind of how it was. And I guess the thing I always jokingly say is, I don't want to give anyone else credit for the work I do, whether it be someone else or God. It's me. I did it, so thank me for doing it. Again, that's my comical way of looking at it, I suppose.
Oh man, we can talk for another hour on this one question.
Oh yeah, no.
Do you want to move on to another thing? Because I like immediately as you said that, I was like, oh well, also da 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 da. Nope, let me give him the chance to move on.
So put a pin in this, Ryan, because I think we should probably bring this up in next week's pre-roll. This philosophy talk is interesting, so we'll have to come back at it with interesting points. Not necessarily arguing or debating or trying to convince it, but just telling our stories and telling each other like what our viewpoints are. I think that's more than enough to kind of just be a conversation in that regard.
Absolutely. There's a huge benefit in sharing different points of view, especially between two like really good friends who respect each other, and like even though there are differences in how they view the world, like you can get something out of sharing another person's perspective. Absolutely.
See if I can wrap it up with these last two questions here. We'll save that last one for the third film, I think. Ryan, why the agents look different in this film, and why do we reduce to one agent look in the future films? Or is there really a reason you can think of for that?
I mean, so the concept of there only being 3 agents, like it makes sense that you have at least multiple super fucking sentient programs that handle the shit so that they can work together as a team. I think like becoming like only going down to like one agent, well, I mean, they don't like there are still 3 agents in the second movie. It's just you primarily only see them like one at a time, and that's because you're also you're also really seeing other programs, and the agents are really the troubleshooting program for the humans. And so when you start to move into the actual world of the programs that actually live and inhabit the Matrix themselves, those aren't really getting policed by the agents. Those aren't really getting policed by anybody except the older and more powerful programs that run shit.
Gotcha. Well, so I mean, like, I just remember watching this film and thinking to myself, okay, so I did remember that there were more than just one person playing an agent. Like, it wasn't just Hugo Weaving. And so then I remember the third film, where it's just a dog pile of Hugo Weavings, and I'm sitting here like, why did we get rid of the other ones? Like, I like the variety of these guys. Like, I get they aren't really that different personality-wise, but it was enough. It was enough to feel like there was this whole agent thing was bigger than what it was. But when you reduce it down to one dude, it just feels kind of weird to me. I don't know what it is, but...
Well, I mean, like, Agent Smith is a whole nother fucking thing, though, because he goes renegade, and also because he actually consumes one of the agent programs. As the 100-man fucking brawl is happening, one of the agents shows up to step in, and Smith consumes him. Like, I think it's more than just... I would have to rewatch Reloaded just to make double sure. But I don't think we ever see the agent that Smith consumes again. And if that's the case, I would think because Smith didn't consume the human that he was inhabiting. He consumed the program, that agent's program.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes a little more sense now that you bring it up. Final question, and then we'll move on. How has sci-fi influenced the making of this film, and how has this film influenced the works of sci-fi since its release? I know this is a big question, so we'll just keep it brief as we can.
Jeez, God, yeah.
I know just post-release, so many shows, Rick and Morty being a great example, but so many other shows definitely reference the Matrix itself as a concept, for sure. I know Community's done it. I know that's another Dan Harmon thing, yes. But definitely multiple layers of reality. I mean, I think isekai anime as a whole kind of owes itself a little bit to this.
Yeah, I could absolutely see that. I think the concepts brought up in the Matrix are not new. I mean, it's not like the Matrix was the first, really to kind of delve into this idea. But I definitely think it was the most prevalent in mainstream media. I feel that there are so many sci-fi ideas and issues that are mixed with the scathing commentary on the corporate culture that we have, and that gave birth to the Matrix. So you really got it's really the distinct combination of those two things that made the Matrix, and the Matrix was so well done, so well executed, and so critically acclaimed by mainstream that going forward it set the standard on a lot of sci-fi that came across it.
Absolutely. That's all I've got for questions this week. Obviously we're wrapping up now because we've run a little long and it's a little late for us recording tonight. So, mail call real quick. If you want to reach out to us, Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook, reviews, stars, likes, all that stuff. Ryan, if they want to email us their deep philosophical questions about reality, life, truth, religion, etc., where can they email us those books at?
They can email us at Dodge This. Sorry, almost got shot there. They can email us at evacstation@gmail.com.
But if you can dodge a bullet, you can dodge a ball, so we're good there.
Surely. Oh my god, Neo would be the greatest dodgeball player. He would just wave his hand and the ball would stop.
I want to see that parody now. That'd be great.
God damn it.
This is part of the episode where we rank the film from platinum to trash, all the colors in between. Ryan, what are you going to rank this movie at?
Can I give this a double platinum? Is that a thing that I can do, please?
We've discussed this before. Double platinum is a myth. It's a legend. It does not exist.
Like the one? Because I've got him. I've got him right here. Like, this movie can be the one in our ranking system. Okay, so barring the double platinum, because Aaron has to keep the reins on this somewhat, this is absolutely a platinum. This is of my top 3 movies of all time, and any movie that fundamentally shaped who I am as a person today is absolutely like the top standard in my mind. I highly recommend people see this. Again, like Aaron said earlier, maybe not people brand new to sci-fi, because it does fly a bit overhead. But even if you are new to sci-fi, I think the movie is still incredible and amazing, even if you don't get all of the super deep and heady philosophical topics that it goes into. Even if you don't get that, it's still an amazing action film that's well executed and set the precedent for so many visual effects that we have today. So this is by far a platinum. I would honestly call it recommended viewing. Like I would call it required viewing, honestly.
I debated between gold and platinum for this one myself, and I think just the conversation we've had here has pushed it to the needle just to platinum, just over the edge. So we're
I got it.
I'm there with you. Sorry, Chaz, for not matching with you earlier, but no, I do think that
the double platinum.
I do think this movie does a lot of work, and again, if you are patient and if you are observant and if you are willing to ride along with everybody, you'll get it, you'll follow it, and you'll be into it. But I think you definitely have to be there for it to work. But yeah, everything here is asking big questions, leaving you to answer them yourself, and it's good. It's really good for doing that, and I wish more films had the courage to do that. And I think more have since its release, but certainly none as big as this one happened until this hit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tune in next week when we talk about the Animatrix.
Yes.
We have already done Matrix 2, as I said earlier, so please tune in for that if you have not already. There will be a re-upload on the YouTube channel, and the pod feed is already out there. Just go find it, Google it, After Credits, Matrix 2, podcast. You'll probably find it there. So thank you for listening, and we will see you after the credits.
Bye.